Welcome here to Six Wheels Down. My name is Torkild Brunsnes, and today I will make a little video about how to change out the entire valve assembly, this Anderson kit that where you have the water inlet to an RV. Those of you who have followed my channel will know that a few months ago I made a video about how to repair this valve, the four-way valve that sits in the Anderson valve assembly. And I did by changing out some of the O-rings. I'll put a link to the video up here. And it actually worked great. It has gotten us by for the last few months to work with this refurbished valve assembly. But at the same time, back then I also noticed that this whole valve assembly was plastic. All the housing for the valves and all that was plastic. So I actually decided to do an upgrade, and I bought this new kit here. You can see here it's a brand new valve assembly here from Anderson. It has the same functionality with the bypass, and here you have the four-way valve for the different positions, and you also have the flush valve here for your tanks and so on. So we have everything we have on the old assembly here, but the big difference here is when you look on the rear, you can see everything here is made in brass instead of plastic, so it's a much better unit here. So I'll try to change that out and let you see how much needs to be modified. One of the things I've heard is that instead of having this valve here with a core that is like a cylinder with O-rings on and the four ways to direct the water when it comes in, now it's been changed so that in here instead it's a ball valve. So that should be much more robust, and then it's a metal housing. So how do you know when it's time to change out this unit? Yeah, the simple way to say it is if you hook up here to city water and you have your system set on city water, then you will start seeing if it's a bad valve that while you're hooked up to city water, you have a bypass. The valve is not tight, and you will have water flowing into your freshwater tank. At a certain point, your freshwater tank will flow over, and you will start seeing in the overflow pipes that water will drain out onto the ground. So that's basically how you know when your four-way valve is worn out and the O-rings in there are bad. For doing this repair here, the first thing I want to do is to grab some tools. I'll show you a little thing I've done here. I have 3 bags with tools. I came from a house before we went full-time RVing, where we had a workshop with CNC machines. I built guitars and stuff. So I had all kinds of tools, but I scaled down. So I have 3 bags with tools, and you kind of need that if you're full-time RVing, because it's like a house on wheels. You have things that needs repair all the time. So it's a good idea to be able to do something yourself. And I've organized it so that this big one here, I have all my power tools, power drills, sanders and all that stuff. This one I have hand tools, screwdrivers, wrenches. And this last one I have screws and bolts and nuts and all kind of electrical connectors and so on. So there's a little bit of each here. So it's very easy now when it's a manual piece of work I need to do, like replacing this valve. I just grab my bag with all the hand tools, and here we go. Then I have one more little thing here I want to show you, and it's perhaps the most used piece of tool I have. I bought this little set here with sockets and all kinds of different bits. This has turned out to be so handy. It can go in everywhere in tight spaces, so that's perhaps the little toolkit I've used the most of all. So that's a good little kit to have. I bought it over Amazon, but it's been worth every penny. This is the panel here I need to change out. It sits with some screws, and there are no nuts on the other side. I just checked that, so it's just to screw these loose. And I cleared out most of the stuff here in the wet bay so that things are easy to get to. The first thing I checked was here on the back side. of the valve assembly where all the hoses connect, and I see there are 3 here, there's 1 down there. And if I look at the new set here, you can see I have the same, I have kind of the same thing here. I have 3 here and 1 down there, and these here seems to match the rear side. So I think it would be pretty straightforward to change out. My fear was that if the hoses weren't in the same places, some might be too short and I had to make new pipes and new hoses, but it seems like it should be pretty straightforward. And this here is exactly a good example where this little socket set here comes in handy. You can see it has all kind of attachments, and here in this case the screws here fits a square too, so that's easy. So let's see if we can get these here out. And before I loosen all the screws on the front side, I've decided just to loosen the pipes here while the panel is still in place, to kind of loosen them up. But be careful, because this is plastic, so you don't want anything to break. And don't be so afraid about marking it and stuff, because they are all, there's a diagram coming with the kit where you can see which hoses go to what. So I'm not so afraid of losing out on anything. Don't be so afraid if you have water running out here, because you might be in a situation where your water tank is sitting higher than any of these hoses, and that means water will run out. But that's okay, it's only water, it can be dried out again. And we now got the old unit out, and as you can see here, the whole housing is plastic. It's not very sturdy, and from the valve here into this housing here, you have this cylinder with a lot of O-rings on, and these are the ones going bad over time. So the new system with ball valves should be much better, so you don't have this oblong. If you compare these two, you can see the new version here is more fat. It's a ball valve instead of the cylinder valve here. So now it's simply time to mount the new system, and let's see if the screw holes fit. They should. Yep, they all line up, so that's great. So I can just use the old screw holes here, and that should work. Now the last piece I have is this one here, but this was in the old one, it was screwed into this, and on the new one it looks different. So you can kind of see here, this here is dot to start, so that won't fit. So I need a transition piece there to fit over these. So I'll need a run to Harbor Freight or to Ace Hardware store, whoever has the parts. So I'll take the motorcycle and go there and get that piece. Yeah, and a little change of plans. I got a new idea because we just purchased these electric bikes here. So instead of taking the motorcycles, I think I will take the bike for a test spin and ride it up to Ace Hardware store and get that fitting I need. So that would be a nice trip. It's a wonderful day. Okay, after a nice little bicycle ride up to Ace Hardware, I got this little plastic here with for 1/2-inch pipes that is threaded in both ends. So that should fit on here. So let's see if it does. Just make it nice and tight. And now I hope this one here will rotate, because that's needed to get it on. But a little patience and it will all come. Yeah, and now it's time to try to connect the water hose and see if it all works. And we'll try to turn the water on. We have a pressure regulator for 40 psi. Looks good. Well, everything seemed to be fine out in the wet bay, but when I came inside and tried to turn the water spigots on, I only had cold water. The warm water didn't work, so something was not connected right. So I spent long time, 45 minutes I think, trying to move hoses around and nothing helped. I finally only had one option left, and that was basically, if you see the diagram here, let me see, this top one here that says to water heater, and then this one down at the bottom here to fixtures. These two, I found out, have been swapped on the new fixture here. So water heater goes to the bottom and hot fixtures goes to the top. So that had been changed on the new fixture here. So to reroute all my pipes, I needed the pipes that connected here to the top. Before, those now needed to go to the bottom. The problem was these were fixed pipes. They were hard PEX pipes. So I had to run to the hardware store again, and I had to buy some PEX pipe and some fittings, so I could kind of make a reroute from the top down to the bottom spigot and from the bottom up to the top, and swap it around. So just for anyone who tries to install this here, be aware that the top and the bottom there on the hot water side, they are swapped in this new fixture here. that cost me a lot of time to figure out. It works now. I got it connected and rerouted, but I had to do a lot of rerouting of the pipes on the back side of the panel to make that work. At the same time, there is this one here in the middle. No, it's this one there. That one in the middle there. That one has been changed as well to a male start instead of a female. And that means when I came with my hose, I had two males meeting. So I had to run to the hardware store and get something that could go over the male start and over the male start in the other side to connect these two. So two major changes on this backside of the fixture here that I wasn't aware of. It looked like everything could be installed like it was on the old fixture, but that didn't work. So for anyone installing this here, be aware of these two major changes because they can cause you a lot of trouble if you're not aware. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please show by subscribing to the channel and also click the like button, and you're very welcome also to make some comments. I've seen that for several videos I made that people come up with good ideas about how to do stuff, and I appreciate that very much. I have received a lot of good tips and tricks that can help people that do projects like this in the future. So please, if you have any good insight and good knowledge, feel free to comment on the video. But please also hit the like and subscribe button, so that would help me to grow this channel here. But thank you so much for watching.